Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of day 71 in the 100 days to CAT test series powered by the Gurukul. Now, in case you want to take this passage as a test, all you need to do is go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for the 100 days to CAT test series. If you want to follow along with this video, then this is your passage number 1. Pause the video here, read this paragraph, and then we'll go into the second paragraph. This is your paragraph number 2. Pause the video here, read this paragraph, and then we're going to go into the third paragraph. This is your paragraph number 3 and the last paragraph. Pause the video here, read this paragraph, and then we're going to go into the questions. Now this is question number 1. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to go into question number 2. This question number 2. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to go into the question number 3. This question number 3. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to go into the question number 4. This is our last question, guys. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to look at the explanations of each and every question along with the passage. So what does the passage talk about? The passage says, last month Salvator Mundi, Leonardo da Vinci's portrayal of Jesus as the savior of the world, sold at an auction for $450.3 million, more than twice the previous record for an artwork sold at an auction. So this went for double the highest amount of whatever sale was for the last artwork. Okay. Paying this price for the painting of a man who is said to have told another rich person, go sell your possessions and give it to the poor and you will have the treasure in heaven. Ironical, doesn't even begin to submit. So apparently Leonardo da Vinci once told a rich man that you should be selling off your possessions and donating all that proceeds to the poor. Okay, so his painting itself being bought for such a high price is very ironical. The author finds it very ironical. The Life You Can Save, a non-profit organization, so the Life You Can Save is a non-profit organization, has a charity impact calculator that enables you to see what can be achieved by donations to charities with a proven record of effective aid for the world's poorest people. So this Life You Can See is actually going to let you look at how much you can contribute and what will be the impact of that contribution on the world's poorest people. It shows that for $450 million, which is the same amount as our painting, okay, you could restore sight to 9 million people with curable blindness or provide 13 million families with the tools and techniques to grow 50% more food. For $450 million, you could also buy 180 million bed nets, enough to protect 271 million people from malaria. For these interventions, the numbers are likely to be somewhat smaller because the charity impact calculator is not designed for such large sums and so does not take into account the cost will rise once the needs of those who are easiest to reach have been met. So basically what's he saying? He's saying that, okay, the charity impact calculator is giving us such wide numbers. Okay, maybe they'll be a little smaller than that because charity impact calculator is not actually designed for someone who's donating 450 million at once. Okay, so ideally speaking, this 450 million can actually help a lot of families is what he wants to bring out from this part of the passage. Now let's go into the second part of the passage. Rightly or wrongly, most of us do give much more weight to our own interests and those of our children and other relatives and friends than we do to the interests of others. Yet, there's a line at which discount rate becomes so great and the interests of others are treated with such indifference that we must say no, that is going too far. We could argue that most affluent people are on the wrong side of that line. Now, good ideas come out of this paragraph. The first idea that I get from this paragraph is that we put ourselves and our relatives or whatever before others in terms of interests. Okay, what we want, what our relatives want, what my children want, what my grandparents want, all of this would be in my mind first than what some random stranger or some random poor person on the street would want. Now, the second idea that we get from this is that rich people think very little about the poor. So these are two ideas that I get from here. Now let's look at this part of the passage. In 2006, the legendary investor Warren Buffett pledged to give most of his wealth, around $30 billion, to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to help people in extreme poverty. That's a very, very nice gesture, to be honest. That gift doubled the resources of the foundation. To mark the 10th anniversary of Buffett's pledge, Bill and Melinda Gates recently reported a figure to him, 122 million. Now, what is this 122 million? So, this guy gave 30 billion to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They help people in extreme poverty. Now, those people gave him back one number, 122 million. What is this? Let's look at it in the next paragraph. So, here he says that's the number of children's lives saved since 1990 by progressive reductions in the rate of child mortality. In other words, if the rate of child mortality had remained constant between 1990 and today, 122 million more children would have died than did in fact die over that period. So, basically this 30 billion helped save 122 million children's lives. Normally, if X children were to die from 1990 till today, okay, now X minus 122 million have died thanks to the $30 billion, okay, thanks to the $30 billion that's been given by Warren Buffett, okay. So, the Gates claim that every dollar spent on childhood immunization yields $44 in economic benefits, including the money that families would otherwise lose when a child gets sick and a parent cannot work. So, basically, every $1 that they spend on making this child's life safer, okay, eventually brings back $44 to that family, because they won't have to take sick days when the child is sick. They don't have to take care of that, all that. They won't have to lose work and all of that. So definitely there's an economic benefit. Warren Buffett's contributions to immunizations may be the best investment he has ever made. So this is one of the best things that he has ever done. Why? Because he asks us a question now, what do you think would make a person happier? So probably Warren Buffett became very happy by doing such a good deed. So what do you think would make a person happy? Owning a painting if it were the most marvelous painting in the world, or knowing that you had kept millions of children healthy, saving lives and benefiting families economically at the same time. So he's clearly showing us, okay, the author clearly is telling us that helping others gives more satisfaction than gaining material possessions. Right. Both common sense and psychological research says that it's not owning the painting. So this is the idea that we get from the passage. Now let's quickly get into the questions. First question, what is the irony that the author highlights in the second paragraph? Even though Jesus preached giving away one's possessions to the poor, the seller of his painting has charged such a hefty price for it. Now see, just because Jesus has preached giving away their possessions to the poor, doesn't mean the seller will freely give away the painting which is his possession just like that, right? So this is not the irony that we are talking about. B, even though Leonardo da Vinci said that that a true treasure can be found in heaven, the buyer paid a treasure-worthy price for the painting on earth. Now obviously, this was not the irony. We were not talking about Leonardo da Vinci's statements. We're talking about what Jesus had told. So B should not be the consideration. Now C says, even though Jesus preached that the rich should sell their possessions, the buyer is accumulating more of them. Now Jesus did not just say you should sell your possessions. He said you should sell your possessions and give it to the poor. So this is an incomplete partial scope choice. So this is not going to be our answer. Now D says, even though Jesus preached that one should give one's possessions to the poor, the buyer is employing his fortune to buy a painting. Now this is the irony. Jesus told that you should just give away your possessions to the poor. But what are you doing? You are instead getting more of the possessions. You're buying a painting, so you're increasing your possessions. So D should be our correct answer. Now let's go to the second question. Why does the author call Warren Buffett's contribution maybe the best investment he has ever made? A, the contributions have generated highest returns that Warren Buffett has made on any investment. See, it's not about the returns that he has gotten, right? It's not the economic thing that we are speaking about. So A should not be our correct answer. B, the contributions have helped save the lives of 122 million children since 1990. Makes a lot of sense. C, because he's done such a good deed, maybe that's why the investment is the best investment he has made. C, the contributions have enabled millions of parents to work who would otherwise have to take care of a sick child. Now see, again, this talks about the economic benefit, okay, not the life saved. So C will not be the answer. D, the contributions have generated economic benefits of $44 for every dollar spent. Again, this is the same as A, okay, he's gotten the huge returns, but to be very honest, he has not gotten these $44. If $44 was saved for the families, but we're not talking about the economic benefit of this situation at all. We're talking about the life saved, a good deed that's been done. So obviously D will not be our answer. The best possible answer becomes B. Let's go to the third question. The author seems critical of the decision of the buyer to deploy a huge sum to own a painting rather than helping the needy. Which one of the following arguments, if true, would change his mind? So basically, when would the author approve this person buying the painting is what's been asked in the question. The buyer of the painting pledged $40 billion of its own wealth to charitable causes. See, first of all, we do not know, what the charitable causes are. And even if he is doing some sort of a donation, him still increasing his material position, him still buying that painting, in itself goes against the thing that the author is speaking about, right? So, A should not be our answer. B, the buyer of the painting has housed it in a museum open to everyone, including the poor. A part of the ticket proceeds of the museum is kept by the buyer. So how wonderful, how generous of him to let even the poor people look at the painting. But guess what? Poor people don't even have food to eat. That's the kind of extreme poverty that we want to tackle. So obviously him giving some sort of, a museum the painting and asking the poor people to come and visit while keeping the money that's being coming from the ticket for himself is only adding to the problem in the mind of the author. It's not taking away. So B should not be our answer. The buyer has started leasing the painting to various museums in return for a fee of 1/6 its purchase price. So far, 8 museums have leased it and the buyer has given the revenue to charitable causes. So basically what's happening, okay, whatever is the money that he has gotten, okay, so let's say 450 by 6, okay, times 8. So I can probably just say that 450 times 3 by 4. This money has been donated to charitable causes. Correct. So he has not kept any of it for himself. He's not even kept the painting for himself. He's instead using the painting to help people. Right. So the author might be approving of this. D. The buyer resells the painting at a much higher price and invests the proceeds in the IT sector, a booming sector in his developing nation. It is the highest contributor to the employment. See again, if he is investing and further increasing his wealth, okay, the author will not be happy with it. The author wants the man to give away the painting in a way that it would help the charity. So definitely D is not going to be my answer. Now the best possible answer becomes C. Let's go to the last question of this passage. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Sometimes putting the interests of others over our own can make us happier. Yes, obviously that's the kind of conclusion that we have seen from the passage, right? So A makes a lot of sense. A rich man should sell his possessions and give away to the poor. Now this is something that's directly stated in the passage, but why should this be done has not been brought out in the option. So this is an incomplete part. So B should not be our answer. C, the affluent have a moral responsibility to help the needy. In the passage he's only told me that the affluent do not help the needy. They are the ones who cross the line the most, but that does not mean that they are the ones who have the responsibility or moral responsibility for that matter to help the needy. See, if you help the needy, you'll feel good. But it's not a moral responsibility for you to have that, help the needy, right? So C is not going to be a plausible inference. D, a careful evaluation of alternatives may lead us to a good investment decisions. Again, this is completely irrelevant. No matter what carefully you want to do, you have to help the poor. If that is not coming up, if you are only making good investment decisions, then it's of no use to us. That's not the inference that we have to gain from this passage. So the best possible answer becomes A. Now, if you watch this video till here, please do not forget to hit that like button. It motivates us a lot to keep making these kind of videos for you. Share this with a friend who does not have enough resources to prepare for CAT 2025 but wants to crack it this year. I'll see you in the next video.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.